Bigfoot seen in Perry County, Kentucky. Kentucky has long been a hotbed for Bigfoot reports. This next report comes to us from Tommy. Tommy's sighting took place in May of 1975. He and his family were doing what most families did that time of year. They were working in the garden. Here is Tommy's story. My family and I lived in a hollow in the mountains of Perry County, Kentucky, specifically Stable Fork Hollow. This area is full of wildlife, rattlesnakes, bobcats, you name it. On this occasion, my entire family and some cousins were working in a huge garden across the creek. It was about 100 yards up from the house. At around 1 p.m., I was sent back home and told to bring a pitcher of ice water. Nothing unusual occurred on the way there. However, on the way back, about halfway, I heard what sounded like a huge rock slide coming out of a washout on the other side of the creek. It sounded like huge boulders. I then heard a giant splash in the creek. I could not see anything at this time as the trees were full and green, especially near the creek. Suddenly, something began running up the creek through the water. It sounded huge, something which obviously weighed several hundred pounds. Just the sound of the huge steps and water splashing put a cold chill through me. It then got up on the creek bank. What terrified me most was seeing 3-inch thick saplings breaking over, with green leaves and foliage flying about. I thought one of our mules had gotten loose and was running up the creek. I became somewhat scared and started to jog at a rather fast pace. Whatever was over in the creek began to run, making an incredible amount of noise. Glancing over and down into the creek, there was a short clearing. I was shocked to see the backside of a huge, hairy, upright creature, which resembled a gorilla. It was walking now. The one thing which is burned into my memory is seeing its muscles ripple as it walked. I became terrified, spilling all the water as I ran. I knew I had to get ahead of the creature and cross the creek. As I did so, I refused to look down the creek to my left, as this was where the creature would be. I then ran up the old logging road which led to our garden. The 2 mules were both there, but having to be controlled by about 5 family members. They were obviously spooked. I did not reveal what happened, though my family could see I was obviously shaken. Ultimately, someone else went back for more water, and their trip was uneventful. The creature I saw appeared to be rather dark brown in color. I could see it from behind, but I never saw the face. I saw it from about the calves on up. It was well lit by the sun for approximately 5 seconds or so. I did not have a view of lower legs or feet. I'm quite sure the creature was fully aware of my presence. I actually feared for my life." End quote. That particular hollow was also home to another encounter by Tommy's nephew Dan. Dan's event took place in the summer of 2017. Dan and a friend of his was in his truck. They backed into a wide place and were getting ready to drink a few beers and listen to some music. It was a very dark night, and Dan exited the vehicle to relieve himself. Dan walked about 10 feet behind the truck and stood near a tree line. An odd feeling of being watched fell over Dan. Suddenly, something in the woods jumped straight up and started making a horrible racket. It then began to grunt and growl. It was sounds that Dan said he would never forget. Dan stated that whatever it was gigantic, and it parted the trees as it ran off. Dan ran back to his truck. He was as white as a sheet. He quickly sped away and didn't stop until he and his friend were back in civilization and in a well-lit area. Dan never told his friend who was with him that night what he saw, but he did tell Tommy that he was quite sure that he had encountered a Sasquatch and that something lives in the old holler. If you have had a sighting or encounter, then please contact us via our website at thecryptocrew.com. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that notification bell. For the Crypto Crew and the Crypto Watch channel, I'm Jason Morse. We'll see you next time.